This is The Bottom Line. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I am your host. I have special guest host today, Amy Radowski.
Hey
and
there.
we have special guest, new demo team captain, Alison Scudds. How's it
That's
going,
me.
Alison? All
I'm
right,
doing great. Thanks for having me on here.
awesome. So
All
we were
right, let's
scheduled
do
to do
it.
this a couple days ago, and a half an hour
Uh-huh.
before we were to go on the air with you, it was announced that you are now the demo team captain for this year's CrossFit Games. How
Yep.
cool is that?
And I completely flaked on you.
Well, it's
You were
understandable.
busy.
Yeah, so basically, so rewind a little bit. At the beginning of the season, I got asked to test out some of the open workouts because this year the open, 10,000 people made it through to the next level. And at the time, obviously, we were in the middle of COVID, and it was a lot harder to get other athletes out here. And luckily, I live only like an hour and a half from the ranch, and also like an hour from CrossFit HQ. So I ended up doing that, and then I was also the movement standard, I guess, demo athlete for the open as well. So I had been, I know some of those guys. Dave from I was on the demo team in 2017, and then I had just kind of been around, knowing Justin and Wilson, kind of loose ties with everybody. And so I was super honored to be, the open demo athlete this year. And I also did when they closed down all the gyms, we did like the support your local box fundraiser. So I think that was actually initially how I involved this year with them. And yeah, we just kind of we did the open testing, and then obviously like with quarterfinals and semifinals, like I was competing, and so and also CrossFit doesn't they don't program the semifinal events anymore, so I just continued to compete, and then did semifinals. And the day after semifinals, I had kind of seen Dave was like testing some of the games workouts already, and once I realized I didn't make it to the games and I also didn't make it to the last chance qualifier, I was like, I just got this feeling they're gonna hit me up to like put me through the ringer. And like a couple days later, I got a text saying like, "Hey, can you come down to the ranch to test some games workouts?" And that was, I think I ended up going Thursday right after West Coast Classic. And was obviously planning on taking a little bit of time off, but when that kind of opportunity comes up, you gotta go for it. And so have pretty much been down there most of my days since semifinals, testing out the workouts. And and then Dave asked, I heard him say on the Savan podcast that Paul Tremblay was always the demo team captain for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or so, and he was the captain when I was on the team. And I heard him say that Paul turned down the position this year because he's I think he's like the Canada manager, and he's just got a lot going on. He had another kid too. And I was like, oh man, I would love to be like the demo team captain. Like I had so much fun that year, and obviously having a little bit of experience being on the team once before. So I kind of like dropped a little like, hey Dave, like I'm available, just letting you know. But you never know with Dave, he's got his own vision and plan for everything. And just, I was just happy to be there testing the workouts. And a couple days into testing, he asked me if I would want to be the captain, and I said hell yeah. So super excited for that experience again this year. And a little bit of added responsibility being the captain, just making sure that everybody is cohesive and we're always in the right place at the right time. But I'm really honored and super grateful for the opportunity. Can't wait to be at the games this year.
So that's what I was going to ask for our listeners who don't know what the captain's responsibility is. What's the difference between being a demo team and being a captain?
What even is the demo team? I think a lot of people don't even really understand that either. So like like I said, the testing is always done before the event, right? Like there's so many logistics that they can't just be like, oh, I think we'll do this like the day before the competition, right? It's like crazy how much it's thought out, and like how many, and that's one of the cool parts about it too, is like you really get to see the behind the scenes, and like, oh, if we want to do X amount of this movement, we need to be like contacting Rogue to make sure that they have the right equipment there, and the right types of plates like for the loading of certain movements, or whatever, like all those like tiny little details. And how like at the games they want to make it a really visual spectacle too, so sometimes they'll have way more equipment than they would at just like a semifinal or something like that. So they really go over the top to make the viewing of the events really special as well. And so most of that is worked out before the competition. And that's what I realized in 2017 too, when we went out, when I was on the demo team that year. They had all the like CrossFit events already planned out. And so in 2017, we were testing mostly just like the on-site specific stuff. So that year they did the obstacle course, and obviously they weren't able to build the obstacle course and practice that before they got out in Madison. So I ended up doing the obstacle course like 15 different times with different implements, different, standards on different stuff. And so it's like stuff like that the demo team really tests. And then also some of the team events as well. But this year they had a team come out to do some of the testing beforehand. So I think probably this year we'll do even less testing on site. The main job of the demo team is to actually demo during the briefs, so the athlete briefings. And there's a lot of them because you have the masters, the teens, the teams, and the individuals, both the men and women. So, and there's a lot of events at the games, right? So multiply all those categories times however many events there are. So you're always like bouncing around doing those demos and showing the flows. So showing the flow and also the movement standards of all the workouts that are going to be happening. Sometimes I remember when in 2017, Dave will have like the demo team do like a full workout, like to I think he had that year them do either like the clean ladder or something like that, like the full actual workout. So that will be kind of like fun to just show like the athletes, what it can look like. But yeah, then also the secondary is kind of just being on call in case anything does need to be tested out or minor tweaks right before game day. I have a story from 2017. Like once the games started, we were pretty much done testing. But I believe it was the last day, Sunday morning. We were supposed to have a pretty chill morning, just kind of like casually rolling out of bed and starting to get ready. And I got a text from Paul that was like, we need to leave in 10 minutes. Like, let's go. Or like Dave needs us at the venue right now. And so I literally like throw on my clothes, get out, we get in the van and we go to the venue. I hadn't like had a drink of water or like eat a breakfast or anything. And we get out of the van and Dave's like, all right, the girls, you're going to run this event, which was the hay bale, like cheese curd over the hay bale and running event. And I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good. Like I am not a great runner to begin with, and even less so in 2017. And also Alex Parker was on the team and she's like one of the best runners in CrossFit. And so we were testing out different rep schemes because I knew he wanted to do, and I was doing the less reps than everybody else. And we start, and I think it was like 5 rounds and I already got lapped on like the 3rd round. And Dave just looks at me and he goes, all right, you can just stop. So that definitely like that hurt the soul, but at the same time I was happy that I didn't have to suffer anymore. So it's just stuff like that like you just have to be basically on call if Dave needs anything tested out or done.
So I was a volunteer at the North Park in 2017.
Oh, okay.
So I stacked those bales of hay.
Nice.
And
That's
one thing
some
that
tough
happened,
work.
it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Because there was a lot, wasn't there? Like multiple like rows and stuff too.
Five rows, the whole way across the field. Yeah. So, and we moved them 3 times because Dave didn't like where they were.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
So
you got a little taste of how Dave is, right?
Yes.
Like you just
Oh,
gotta
yes.
be, and it's awesome because like that's why the games are so good, is because he really does think of all those little details that you would have no idea that are even an option to think about, but that's why they're so amazing.
Yeah, with like a minute left, he wanted us to change the way the rope was in the strongman sphere with the sled pull.
Yeah.
And we had to make those changes like in 60 seconds. It was crazy.
Yep.
But what I want to bring up is the weather that year. It snowed in Wisconsin in August, the day of the obstacle course. So how much
Yep.
So how much went into, like, you as the demo team? Did you have to try it out in that weather to see what if it changed the dynamic of anything? Or did they just say, well, we didn't anticipate this, we got to go?
That year specifically for that, I don't remember us doing that. I remember it being very cold and feeling bad for the athletes, but at that point I think they were just like, yeah, we got to do what we got to do. But I'm sure that in certain cases they would have us test out certain things, like say it rained or something, they might have us like go through and see if it really affects, the performance of the athletes. But to my knowledge, I don't think we did that year.
Okay. Because everybody was having trouble with.
But yeah, just you never know what could. I was gonna say you never know what could come up like that. So that's definitely like one of the reasons why we're also there, is to just have people test stuff. Test dummy is what I was like calling myself.
Because everybody was having trouble with the rope swing onto the balance log.
Yeah.
And you did that like 15 times. How did that go for you?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you know this story, so you're just baiting me into it, but so I okay, so the individuals had to go only one direction, just like start to finish one time, but the teams had to go forward and then backwards on the whole course. And like I said, for whatever reason, like we did the obstacle course the first day and I was pretty good at it, so he just kind of like, I was reserved to be the obstacle course tester. So like I said, I did it about 15 different times, and every time you go through you get like a new little scrape or bump or bruise or something like that. And so the team version, I had only done the team version doing it in reverse as a team. So swinging from the low log on the rope up to the high log, we had only done with the guys, and the guys, are a little bit taller and they can jump a little higher. So they were able to like jump up with the rope, land on the high beam, and then throw back the rope for us. And I was demoing for the team, so I was just doing like one implement at a time to show the standards on everything. And I get to that one and I'm like, oh, I haven't done this by myself before. Like I just gotta go for it, I guess. So I like ran and jumped as high as I could, grabbed the rope, and I slam right into the high beam, like on my, like right between my butt and my knee, just on my thigh. And the impact was so hard that everyone who's all the teams that are watching, they go, oh, but I hang on to the rope, I swing back, and then I finally like land on my second one. And, secretly I'm like, I got some tears going down, but I'm like, I'm fine. And, no, I had a bruise, not even exaggerating, like this big on my leg for months. And it's honestly like, you can still see a little baby bruise there 4 years later. So it's
wow.
I was permanently bruised from that game.
So when you're testing, what does a typical day look like? Not any movements, but just like how long are you there? How is
it really just
call?
depends. It really just depends on what he needs tested. So, and there's really no schedule. You show up at a certain time, and you just do whatever he says. Sometimes, you do the same event multiple times or with like a slight change. But it's really just show up, warm up, and then just be ready for whatever. Try to hit it as hard as you can. It's really different than training or competing because, especially myself, I love to have a plan and like I like to think things through and be prepared. But this is truly like you got to just do whatever he needs done. And yeah, I've tested like different variations of the same workouts many times. And yeah, I just try to have I always just have a fun attitude with it. It's really low expectations too, because you're just like, sometimes you don't even know if it's possible, like what he's asking to do, and that's what he's trying to figure out in the testing is like, is this the right stimulus that I'm looking for? Is it the right time domain that I'm looking for? Is it, how does it feel? Like he always says that, like when you're done, like, good job. How did it feel? And so some events are a little bit more straightforward and he knows like what he wants, but some of them are a little bit more specific. Like that year in 2017 with the hay bales, like he probably had a certain time domain in his mind that the burpees were going to take a certain amount of time. So that's why he was testing different reps. So just stuff like that.
So I'm really stoked for you. I think that's really cool. This has been The Bottom Line. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us, Alison.
Thank you so much for having me.